the U.S. perception of Japan could be described as underestimation of their resolve or desperation or whatever. But then I think Japanese themselves didn't really, most leaders couldn't have conceived of this plan of attack had it not been for Yamamoto Isoroku. So I think it was quite an outlandish thing to do and to pull off anyway. I think Roosevelt was perhaps expecting some minor attack, even as late as sort of December 1st, minor attack on the Philippines or Thailand or wherever, because he saw the troops mobilizing around Taiwan, and he couldn't have conceived of this attack on Pearl Harbor, which really was a dramatic turn of event. So I don't think, and the Japanese themselves were surprised by that too. So I think there was an underestimation of what Yamamoto could do on all sides almost. That's my feeling about it. And I think the military leaders, someone like Navy General Staff Nagano Osami, when he looked at the plan in late October, he said, no way, we are not going to do it. It's too risky. We are not going to win this war anyway, so why risk so much? We'll lose all our battleships.
But it's hard to underestimate the human capacity for self-delusion. I mean, for example, there's a wonderful film made in Japan in 1942. One of the scenes shows the pilots and so on the aircraft carriers on their way to Pearl Harbor, and they listen in to the American radio on Hawaii, and they hear jazz music and somebody conducting a dance, and they all giggle and say, well, this is the Americans, the decadent, weak-kneed Americans. All they can do is dance and listen to this absurd sort of music. And I mean, once they get a taste of the real Japanese martial spirit, they'll cave in. And it's a very common misperception of democracies held not just by the Japanese at the time, but by authoritarian regimes. And then there were more idiotic misperceptions too on both sides. I think on the Japanese side, some people really believed that Americans couldn't shoot straight because their noses were too big, so they couldn't look past their noses. And at the same time, in America, there were ideas that the Japanese, because of their Oriental Mongol eyes, couldn't shoot straight because, and so on. So the stupidity of people is usually boundless.